I was in love with my boyfriend. I decided to show him to my parents and introduce them, and they hated him. He wasn't culturally the same as us, but I didn't care. I loved him. So, imagine my surprise when we're about to have a baby, and I find out one of the most toxic, vile secrets about my future husband. Should I listen to my family or should I follow my heart? I should know what to do, right? I should know if a man is worth going against my family for, but right now I'm just so focused. Not only am I focused, there's this huge fear that I have. Basically, because my boyfriend and I are different races, my family doesn't want us to be together. They're the same problem. It's not the race, but the life will be difficult if we end up getting married and having children. I don't think it will be a problem, though. I love Christopher so much, but my parents don't understand, and well, they just want to be difficult. This is after micromanaging my relationship ever since I first started to date. Bold of me to say relationships because I've never gotten past the talking stage. A little bit of context now. I was born in Korea, but I've been living in America since I was 10 years old. That makes 20 years that I've been living here. Our family is huge. My dad has 5 brothers, and each brother has his family and kids. Most of the family migrated here because of work opportunities, and they're all working in the engineering and IT fields. I also have a cousin who's a doctor whom my mother does not stop comparing me with every time. My parents still have not go of the idea that I've decided to pursue a career in graphic design and coding. It's like I told them that I'm collecting rubbish. No offense to people that do that, this is just an analogy. To make it worse for them, I refuse to date the guy that they've been pushing on me since I was 20. Well, I went to the same high school as him, and his parents have money, and he's super smart, and he's also really nice. It's just that I'm honestly not interested. To be honest, in all my 30 years, I've not properly dated because I'm a career woman. When I'm not working, I'm trying out hobbies like cycling, volunteering at NGOs. My parents were disappointed when I was 25. That the Prince Charming they wanted for me finally got married to somebody else. I was relieved, though, to tell you the truth. He was a good guy, but his personality was just not the personality for me. You would have probably guessed by now that I've always been the black sheep of the family, and not even the cool black sheep with a life filled with parties and traveling around the world. It is literally just me, my work, and some extra volunteering work. But anyways, when he got married, my parents were mad at me, and my mother told me to carry on like that. I would end up alone. I didn't mind dying alone, to be honest. I didn't see myself falling in love, getting married, having kids. I wanted to spend my life making a difference in other people's lives. And then, of course, he came into my life and he just changed everything. Christopher was not my type when it came to guys. He was loud, not logical, and had an attitude to life where whatever happens, happens. My sister was the first one who he met because he was in her neighborhood and she kept on complaining about his untidy ways. When I was visiting my sister, I saw him pouring some dirty fluids onto the plants outside, and I absolutely lost my mind. Well, I called him very choice words and gave him a stern lecture. From then on, we hated each other, and my parents even knew about my feud with him. He was just not serious about life and was the last guy that I would ever date. But would you imagine that this guy took the time to research some of the things that I enjoyed to talk about? One day, when I went to my sister's house, he literally kidnapped me. I thought to myself that my time was done and I was about to be kidnapped by some angry guy that I had enjoyed upsetting for weeks. Instead, he wanted to show me that he had done changes and, well, he made some changes to his place to make it more environmentally friendly. I asked him why he would do that, and he said that he hoped that by impressing me, he would take me on a date, and I told him to keep dreaming. For weeks, we had a lot of banter and he teased me so much that I would get very upset, but eventually I agreed to date him. Chris was an enigma the more I got to know him. He was complicated, and I love complicated despite myself. He said that he did not have any social media, that his family lived out of town, and he refused to tell me the job that he was doing, until we've been dating for some months. We did not tell anyone that we were dating until my sister blabbed her mouth to my parents. In her defense, it was because they were considering arranging a marriage for me with some random guy. The pressure was getting too much, and I decided to introduce him to my family. And they hated him. They said that he knew nothing about our culture, that he was too American, and they would not allow me to date him. I told them I would stop, but my heart could not let it go. I don't want to get all mushy, but I felt that this man would complete me. He supported me in everything that I wanted to do. He was my cheerleader, something that I had to beg my family to do for me. He also shared with me about his family, and he told me that he did come from a pretty well-off family, but now he was trying to make something of his own. He was trading stocks and property and starting to make some real cash. He convinced me to move out of my own town and get a better job, move in with him, all without my parents knowing. It was a no-brainer for me. For years, I'd struggled to form a connection with any guy. When I got to the talking stages, I would get ghosted or cheated on. I'd find people who were not serious enough and just wanted something from me, but did not want to commit to me, and that really hurt my self-esteem. So we moved. I lied to my parents about staying with a friend and decided that one day I would get them to like him. But the days and the months passed, and my relationship was starting to get a bit rocky. He wanted to get married to me, but the fact was that my parents would probably not accept it. So he went against my wishes and sent them a letter. Imagine my surprise when my mom and aunt showed up at my house to tell me that they were taking me home. I threatened to call security on them, but when my mom gave me that I had no choice but to pack a bag and go home. So now I'm home and the whole family has ganged up on me. My parents are treating me like I'm a 16-year-old who doesn't know what she's doing. I'm tired of trying to convince them that this man can take care of me. It's not just his real estate and trading that he has going on for him. He also comes from a wealthy family. So, they said they want to meet his family. The only problem is that he's not spoken to them in a very long time. Something happened with him, and every time I ask him about it, he just freezes. I don't want to open new wounds for my love. I've worked at NGOs before, and have had some cases where people get confronted by their past, and all the work that they've done for themselves is undone. But for me to tell my parents that, they don't want to understand. So now they have given me an ultimatum. There's money that my grandfather, who was smart enough to invest many years ago, has kept in a trust fund for us. It's a lot of money, and we're all supposed to get it at the age of 35, his rules. But our fathers are the ones with the access at the moment. I have plans for that money. I want to combine my skills and passion and start an initiative that helps people. But my parents want to take that money and split it between my siblings and cast me out to the family, if I decide that I want to stay with him. But I know for a fact that he's worth so much more than that money that my family's using to threaten me and blackmail me, so I am more than inclined to ignore my family and just give up the money. The other thing that I've not told anyone is that I think it might be too late to break things off with him. I have to do the test, but I think I'm pregnant. If my parents find out, they're going to kick me out. I'm not even going to lie to you. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying this wild story. This is a saga story. It is far from over. The next update came out 2 months after the original post, and it does not stop there. The first sentence begins with, I chose my fiance and my child over my parents. Guys, let's jump right into it. Here it is. Well, after I did that test at home, I went to the hospital with my sister, and it was confirmed that I was pregnant. My mom went snooping through my stuff, and of course she found the test. The whole family was in an uproar over it, and they didn't want me to keep the baby because they didn't think he was good enough for me. But I know my rights as a woman, and I know that I'm allowed to give birth to my child and stay with the man that I love. When I went back home, it was to Christopher telling me the bad news. His stocks had crashed and his real estate was not doing so well, so we're kind of broke. I borrowed him some money to fix it because I knew that for him to ask his family would cause problems. And then I told him that I was pregnant, and guys, he was actually over the moon about it. He promised that he was going to work hard to support us and prove my family wrong about him. I was more than happy to keep our baby, especially when he proposed to me 2 days later. I made sure to post it on the sites that my family frequent so they could see. They told me that he would run away, but they were wrong. It felt good to ignore their shocked messages asking me why I got engaged without telling them. When we get married soon, move into our new house, and have our beautiful child, not even my parents are welcome in our lives. I've always done what was best for my family all these years, and now it's time for me to get my true happiness on the way. They can enjoy my trust fund money, but it'll never replace me. I just wanted to ask the ladies and gentlemen for some pregnancy advice. This is my first one, and I'm stressed, which I know's not good for anybody. The reason I'm stressed is because of all the things my family said. What if he dumps me for someone else now that I'm carrying his child? What if he leaves me right at the altar? If he leaves, then I have nothing to go back to my family with because I've burnt those bridges, and we're done. So, I want to know some relaxation techniques. Update 2, a couple months later. Am I wrong for wanting to meet my future in-laws? I feel like I'm hitting a brick wall with this man because he accepts money from them so that we can take care of my pregnancy needs, yet he doesn't want me to meet them. He says that they're just vultures, and he doesn't want to expose me to that. Hello, I come from a large family. I know how to brave the jungle. We're getting married soon after I give birth, so I need to know my in-laws so that I can invite them. He just wants a small, intimate gathering, but I don't want that. I've started to dream of my wedding day, and I want it to be something that we'll both remember for a very long time. Tell that to this man over here. We're always arguing about it. You know what? I think that I'm going to find his parents and talk to them on my own because they deserve to know that I am there. This man made big promises to me, talking about taking care of me, but these days he's not even making money that he used to. He borrows money from his faceless daddy and tells me that everything's on track, but I know for a fact that this man's lying. Nothing's on track. I'm very disappointed and stressed, but he doesn't seem to care. All he cares about is making sure I get bed rest and drink all my meds. Then he tells me not to be stressed. Help me so that I can have patience with this man. I agreed to marry him because he promised me security, but I can't even get his parents' name from him. What madness is that? What's up, guys? Looks like things are taking a turn for the worst. Mr. Reddito here. 9 months later was the next posted update. Everybody in the comment section was wondering what the heck happened. Well, it took 9 months, but here we are. Guys, if you're new to the channel and you like these type of stories, just know I read these every single day. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upcoming story. Here is the update. 9 months later. I don't know how to say this. I should have posted an update soon, well, as soon as I gave birth, letting you know that the health of my baby and also updating you on the wedding. I guess you could call this an update. The wedding's not happening, and for the bad news, I lost my baby. Lost in the way that Chris took my baby and ran away with her. I'm not lying. I'm still in shock and I feel such emptiness. Every night I dream of that baby, but when I wake up in the morning, the bed's empty and the phone's ringing. It's the bank, asking when I'm going to repay that loan that Chris took on my account. I've blocked my entire family and my friends, and I think that one of these days I'll get kicked out of here because I've not paid the rent in some time. I can't remember the last time I've bathed, and I'm running on pure caffeine right now so that I can tell you what happened, and that it has me quiet for so many months. I wish I could say that I'm okay or that I'm on my way to being okay, but the emptiness I feel is followed by extreme pain. It's not once gotten better since the day I felt my water break. He was not at home. I could not get through to his phone, and in those days he was so secretive and possessive of me. He didn't want me going out and talking to anybody. He turned me against the rest of my family that could still risk being associated with me. Unfortunately, I did not realize that he was the puppet master pulling the strings which I willingly gave him. That's how I ended up alone on the day I gave birth. Luckily, our neighbor heard my screaming, came to help and called him to the hospital. After I was given an epidural, I was out for the rest of the birth, but after 5 hours I gave birth to my little baby. I named her Summer. Because, well, she's a ray of light in the midday of summer. It might have been a cliche thing to say, but summer was it for me. There was something special about this little girl that I've given birth to. What I meant by there being something different is that she had a birthmark right there on her left hand. It was red. At first I thought it was blood, but once she was all cleaned up, I realized that it was there to stay. She had a birthmark that spanned her whole hand. It looked like a reddish, maroonish rose, which I adored. At some point, Christopher arrived, but I was so tired I passed out. What happened next depends on who you're asking. The nurses told me that my baby did not make it and passed away 10 minutes after I passed out, and, well, they had to rush her to the cremation station and cremate her. They gave me the ashes when I am up to the next day, and according to me, Christopher took my baby because I've heard him. When sleeping sometimes, my body can be asleep while my mind doesn't really enter deep sleep. During that state, I can know if someone's next to me has entered the room. My body will not wake up at that point, though I found it easier to just ride the wave and let it pass. So here I was experiencing a weird sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming moment when Chris, who was holding my baby, had a phone conversation with someone telling them that he got the baby and he was going to leave. And then I felt something deep within me tug as he walked away with my baby, left me lying there. But when I woke up, I was told that my baby was gone, and that Chris had never been at the hospital. So I asked him for the CCTV footage, but the footage didn't show him entering my ward, or ever touching the baby. I was told that my baby was simply gone, and I had to deal with that. But why is it that when I went home, all his clothes were gone, and he was telling me that he was not ready for marriage and that he was leaving the country? Even my neighbor can say that he was at the hospital. I'm not crazy, as I've been telling the hospital ever since I gave birth. I've begged them to look for my baby, but instead, they send me for grief counseling and refer me to a therapist who tries to tell me that what happened to me can happen to anyone and that I can get over it. I want to laugh at that assumption. Get over it. I know that the father of my child is out there with my stolen baby, but I have to get over it and I have to accept the ashes that are staring at me right now. Or what is left of Summer. I'm a mother. I would know if my child was no more. I don't feel emptiness. I feel a tugging, telling me to find my Summer on a winter day. Am I going mad? I know for a fact that I can trust what I've heard because it's happened many times, that people thought I was asleep and I could hear everything they were talking about, and I could answer them when I've awakened. I'm not going mad here. Please, tell me that I'm not going mad. The police don't want to take me seriously, and they don't want to look for Christopher, who has vanished. He was the one who had all the money, and the accounts, they were linked to his name. He's cleaned me out. I have nowhere else to go. I have no idea where he's at. I should have listened to my family. How can I tell them that this is what's happened to me? They're going to laugh at me and call me a fool. Update. 368 days later. Hi everyone. It's me, checking in just a year later. I'm doing much better now compared to how I was feeling just a year ago. I finally logged in, and well, my sister is the one that you have to thank for me even being alive today, because I was so close to not being here today. My depression hit an all-time low, and one of my work friends ended up contacting my sister. My sister came to see me and forced me to come back and stay with her. I stayed with her for a month while she took care of me and made sure that I ate and recovered from the birth. I told her everything that happened, and she supported me emotionally. I started to feel better, and I told my parents what happened. They agreed that maybe I needed some time away from society just to think about a bit. So, I left the country for a while and stayed with my grandma. The new area did me some good. I took some time to reflect and process what happened. With time, the wound began to heal, and I began to accept the possibility that I've dreamt up everything. I accepted that my fiancé had left me and my baby was actually no more. Even though that was difficult. My family, yeah, they were supportive. They didn't laugh at me, they didn't call me a fool as I felt that they deserved to be calling me. Everyone did what they could for me, and I could not do anything for myself, to be honest, and soon I was back at work with more energy before I knew it. I threw myself into work and took sleeping pills at night, so that I was not kept awake by my intrusive thinking. I still had to take the sleeping pills, but now I do feel much better. I've accepted that I've loved and I've lost. There's nothing I can do to bring them back. Trust me, I tried to look for Chris, but I don't even know his parents. So, I've decided that I will let sleeping dogs lie and allow time for me to fully heal. Maybe one day I will forgive him for leaving me in that bad time, but that day is very far away. Update 6 months later. Tell me how I decided to go to another state with my sister for a concert and ended up fighting a woman and landed in jail. Yeah, all this happened in the past 24 hours. And now I'm at the hospital and I'm waiting for some life-changing news. It feels so much like I'm dreaming, but trust me, I've pinched myself and I know for a fact that I'm here. I'm not drunk. I am not influenced by drugs. I've just been in jail and now I'm at the hospital. How did I end up here? My sister kept begging me to come to her favorite artist in the concert. She got free tickets from work and she was willing to cover all the accommodations, so I came with her, since I have not had much fun in such a long time. It was an all-ages concert where we had a lot of fun, and then afterward we went to a party at one of her friend's house. The party was a bit lame, considering that it was someone's baby shower. It was a Mexican lady who would not stop raving about her fiancé Andre, who was very rich. I guess a part of me was taken back to what happened to me, and I had to remind myself not to be so bitter. It wasn't her fault that I lost all that I loved. I was experiencing some post-concert depression, and I decided just to go outside. I was outside just feeling the cool breeze and wondering when I could go home. Then I heard a baby crying and my heart tugged. I could have sworn it was summer. But in all honesty, every baby reminds me of summer. The crying drew closer, and then next to me on the balcony was the lady whose baby shower it was, and she had a stroller with a baby in it. I asked if I could help her with the baby because she was heavily pregnant. As soon as I held the baby and saw her incredibly red hand, that had markings that resembled a rose. I realized it was my Summer, and I lost it. I called this woman all the names under the sun and asked her why she had my baby, of which she said that baby was her and Andre's. And then she showed me a picture of her. Chris. And the baby. She tried to get the baby from me, but I held tight. You could clearly see that the baby did not look like her baby, so how dare she try to claim it? I fought that lady. The fight turned violent. Someone took the baby, but she and I got into a physical fight, and the neighbors called the police, and we were put into holding cells. I explained my story to them, but her story was that she and her husband had adopted the baby, which was a lie, because Chris was Andre and nothing was making sense to me. My sister phoned my lawyer, who managed to get me out even though Esme, that lady, was accusing me of stealing the baby. Since the baby looked more like me, they were inclined to believe it was mine. A warrant for Chris's arrest was made as of an hour ago, and he has been detained. Now, I'm at the hospital doing a DNA test on Summer, even though I know she's mine, so I can press charges on the two of them. I'm sure that she's the woman he was talking to when I was sleeping at the hospital, and I was not crazy all that time ago. I told you. I knew my baby was alive. Update. 6 months later, final update. Summer is now nearly 2 years old, and every day with her is a blessing. Ask for her dad. You need to sit down for this one. The police found out that his real name was not Chris nor Andre. Once they investigated me, they found out that there were some descriptions of him doing this to other women for about 5 years. He would make a baby with a woman, dumb her with a baby, or take it, and move on to another woman, making sure to clean her out. He confessed that he did not have a particular reason for it. He just wanted to have kids. But most of the kids are stuck in foster homes after he dumped them because he was bored. I spoke to him face to face, and he told me that I was a complication and most of the ladies believed him when the babies didn't make it. He said that there was a really just no big elaborate scheme. It was just a scammer. He didn't come from a rich family. He was just an absolute weirdo. And he had been thinking of waiting till I was 35 to get my inheritance, but since that was taken away from me, he decided to dip. With the other lady, Esme. It was the same. He planned to take both kids, stay with them or put them in a foster home, and then carry on with her money. If you were to look in his eyes, you would see utter craziness and wonder how he could have made either me nor Esme fall for him. Esme has been a pillar of support throughout all this. Even though we nearly killed each other because of Summer, she's now Summer's godmother since her child is Summer's siblings. She gave birth to Tommy just a few months ago, around that time that this stupid man got his sentencing for what he's done to us. I don't care to divulge his name or the sentence that he got. To me, he's dead. And won't be able to go anywhere near my child ever again. He's sent me many letters ever since he's gotten sentenced, and he's tried to trick me into seeing him, saying that he's terminally ill. Esme and I obviously compare notes when he does stuff like this, and we can see that he lacks originality, and it's just mediocre. He's nothing but a trash human being. I have the support system of my family and accidentally family Esme and Tommy. So I don't need Chris or Andre or whatever his name is this week. He's expressed to me in his letters that he's an orphan and did not know his parents, so he was just trying to create a family of his own. I get it. He's been through a lot, but that's not an excuse to make me mourn a child who's still alive. I lost a whole year of my child's life, and my life that I'll simply never get back. Therefore, I feel no sympathy for him, and I will not forgive him for what he's done. I hope that my pain, and the pain of all these women that he put through, will cause him to have a very miserable life behind bars, and I don't feel bad about saying it. Edit. I wanted to do a full update, but let me just keep it brief. I got a call from where he's been detained. He's been put on harm watch because he wants to do something to himself. And they think he might not be mentally okay. What do you guys think? I could have told them that for free. I told them never to call me with regards to him, even if his life ends. He's a stranger, and I hope he remains alone. I can't believe such a creep like Chris existed. The only good thing that came out of this story was the bond between OP and Esme, who went through the same exact torture because of Chris, or whatever name he calls himself. Guys, let me know what you think about this story. Tell me in some great detail in the comment section what you would do if you were in OP's position and you found out that somebody you thought was amazing and you were going to spend the rest of your life with turned out to be a giant phony. It's just a good thing that OP's family didn't really hold it against her like she thought they would. If you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and click subscribe. I post stories every single day. If that's something you're into, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.